Hello, this is Dr. Grande. Today I will analyze the case of Martha Nolan. First I'll look at the background of this case, move to the timeline of the incident, then offer my analysis. Martha Nolan O'Swatara was born in the early 1990s in Carlow, Ireland. She often went by Martha Nolan. Her father operated a family business which produced livestock feed, and her mother was a science teacher. Martha attended the University College Dublin and graduated with a bachelor's degree in commerce and a master's degree in digital marketing. She found work as a digital marketing executive in Dublin. In 2015, Martha moved to New York City and lived in various places like the Astoria neighborhood of Queens, Hudson Yards on Manhattan's west side, and on the Upper East Side of Manhattan. She had several jobs over the next few years, including as a sales marketing manager, a vice president, and a client partner. Her employment situation did not work out as expected. Martha was laid off in 2020, which caused problems with her H-1B visa. She married her boyfriend, Sam Ryan, in an online ceremony, which temporarily alleviated her immigration problem. Sam was also from Ireland and did not have a green card. However, the marriage added Martha to his visa. Not long after being laid off, Martha became friends with a man who lived in her building named Dylan Grace. He had moved to New York City from Ireland in 2019. Dylan lived in a rented home with a man named Jeremy Valita. Jeremy made an offer to Martha and Dylan. He asked them to join his startup company called Out East Eyewear, which would sell sunglasses in the Hamptons. The pair took Jeremy up on his offer. In September 2020, Martha became the chief marketing officer. Martha and Dylan each earned $2,500 a month and were given partial ownership of the company. By 2021, the relationship between the pair and Jeremy had fallen apart. Allegedly, Martha and Dylan locked Jeremy and two other members of the management team out of their email accounts. They also allegedly took $34,000 from the company bank account and deleted marketing materials. These maneuvers temporarily gave the pair control over the company. In April 2022, Out East Eyewear sued Martha and Dylan for allegedly stealing money and the inventory of sunglasses. In the summer of 2022, the dispute was settled. The terms of the settlement are confidential. Martha and Dylan did not appear to be discouraged by their unpleasant experience in business. They decided to start a new company which would sell swimsuits and sunglasses. The company, which was called East by East, was started in September 2021. On the website, the brand story reads, quote, "Our sustainable resort wear brand was founded on the belief that fashion should not come at the expense of our planet. Our founders, natives of New York City and the Hamptons, were inspired to create a line of stylish and sustainable sunglasses, swimwear, and resort wear for men and women," unquote. Considering how Martha and Dylan were, in fact, natives of Ireland, it seems like the brand story may have been honestly challenged. They not only reinvented swimwear, they reinvented their birthplaces. The marketing strategy for their company was to sell products to wealthy residents of the Hamptons. Success there is really based on becoming part of the in crowd. It is all about image, the appearance of being a fellow elite. Making a quality product is desirable, but certainly not required. In August 2022, 11 months after East by East was founded, the company started selling products. The prices were set lower than Out East Eyewear, even though the manufacturing costs were the same. Martha understood the importance of projecting an upscale image in the Hamptons and would often hang out in Montauk, spending time at local clubs and raising awareness of her brand. Her social media posts showed her living the good life, consistent with the affluent crowd. For example, there were images that featured Martha sitting in and standing next to a private jet. Martha's marketing strategy seemed to be paying off. The company gained a lot of exposure in the Hamptons. All the work that Martha was putting in came at a cost to her marriage. She grew apart from her husband, Sam, and later filed for divorce. Martha found a new lover. He was a sales executive named Nicholas DeRubio. In 2023, Martha obtained an O-1 visa, which is for people of extraordinary ability or achievement in certain fields. As she kept trying to build her business, she caught the attention of an insurance executive named Christopher Dernan. He agreed to invest $250,000 in East by East in exchange for about 13% ownership. The newfound cash boosted the company significantly. In the summer of 2023, they opened a pop-up store at a hotel called the Montauk Beach House and hosted a pool party. Business seemed to be booming, but when fall arrived, sales fell off dramatically. The company was forced to close the pop-up store. Even though financial disaster was looming, Martha kept projecting an image of success on social media. The company ended up with over 50,000 followers on Instagram, but it appears as though Martha purchased the majority of those followers. This meant there was hardly any engagement. She had obtained the appearance of success without any actual success. To address her money problems, Martha worked on the side. For instance, she performed consulting work. She may have been a little too adventurous and creative in her money-making efforts. For example, in April 2024, Martha was sued for allegedly renting out an apartment that she had leased on East 25th Street. She had allegedly made it available on Airbnb. Eventually, the lawsuit was withdrawn. Martha kept fighting to grow East by East despite the challenges. She told Dylan, quote, "If you can just stay around long enough, people know your brand. We've just got to keep going. We've got to keep pushing," unquote. Martha had a lot of confidence, but the financial challenges were not going to magically disappear. She believed the solution was to expand operations to Miami and Los Angeles. Martha set a time to meet her investor, Christopher, about dumping more money into the company. Now moving to the timeline of the incident. On August 4, 2025, at 7:30 p.m., 33-year-old Martha Nolan met with 60-year-old Christopher Durnan at the Montauk Yacht Club. This is on Star Island. The pair spent some time sailing on Christopher's yacht called Hell in a Bucket. They then moved to another yacht he owned, a 54-foot Sea Ray Sundancer 540 called Ripple, which was moored in slip 311 at the marina. The names for both of his yachts were inspired by the band Grateful Dead. Just after midnight, now on August 5, Christopher started running up and down the dock shouting. He threw sunscreen at one boat and screamed, "Do something." During this time, Christopher was not wearing any clothing. When the police responded, they found Martha Nolan dead on Christopher's yacht, Ripple. Christopher said that sometime around 10:30 or 11 p.m., Martha went limp. He believed she was having a heart attack and attempted to perform CPR. The police opened an investigation into Martha's death. An initial autopsy and a second independent autopsy did not reveal any evidence of violence. A drug overdose is suspected, possibly a designer drug. At the time I'm making this video, Martha Nolan's cause of death is undetermined, and the police are waiting for additional toxicology results. Now moving to my analysis. It is not clear what happened to Martha, but the authorities suspect that drugs may have been the culprit. There are a few reasons to believe this. For example, there was no evidence that Martha was the victim of violence. It does not appear as though she had any medical condition that would have caused sudden death, and she was only 33 years old. Christopher had been accused in 2021 of possessing cocaine. He was arrested at a concert after allegedly biting a man. The police allegedly found a bag of cocaine in his wallet. Ultimately, he pleaded guilty to disorderly conduct. A photograph of Christopher's yacht Ripple showed a white powdery substance on a seat. His attorney said that it was just dust from the police fingerprinting at the scene. Even so, it is not unheard of for people to use drugs on yachts. Some people have wondered about what Martha and Christopher were doing in the time leading up to the tragedy. One suspicious element of this case is how Christopher told the police that Martha became unconscious sometime around 10:30 or 11 p.m., yet he started screaming just after midnight. What was going on during that hour to hour-and-a-half gap? According to Christopher's lawyer, there was no gap. All the events happened one after the other with no time in between. Even if this is true, there is another suspicious circumstance: Christopher's apparel status when he ran up and down the dock screaming, specifically his lack of apparel. His lawyer told the media that Martha and Christopher had dated and that Christopher loved her. Later, the lawyer said he assumed they had dated. They were not boyfriend and girlfriend, rather Christopher loved Martha as a friend. So it sounds like they were not romantically involved, which is consistent with the statement made by Martha's family. They said that she never mentioned anything about a romance with Christopher. If it is true that there was no romantic relationship, why was Christopher not wearing any clothing? His explanation for his clothing challenge status is curious. Christopher said that he had to remove his clothing due to it getting soaked in Martha's vomit. This is a very unusual response to vomit exposure. Most people would not remove all their clothing under those circumstances. They might try to clean it off, or they might remove just the article of clothing that had contact with the vomit. But that would normally be the extent of it. They certainly wouldn't go running in public after taking off all their clothes. Furthermore, why didn't Christopher call 911 personally? Why did he scream for other people to call for help? This doesn't look great for Christopher. However, based on the available evidence, it appears as though Martha's death was accidental. This brings me to the question, what do I think happened in this case? This is just a theory, my opinion. Martha Nolan moved to New York City with dreams of hitting it big. Her first plan was to succeed by maintaining employment, but she was laid off. This resulted in her and her business partner joining a company that sold sunglasses. In this business, Martha gained a lot of exposure to the Hamptons, a wealthy area on Long Island. She developed a strong affinity for that area and would talk about owning multiple houses there within 5 or 10 years. Desperate to become a member of the elite class, Martha believed she needed to project an image of success no matter what her actual financial situation was. Referring to Martha, her business partner Dylan said, quote, "She loves luxury items. She liked boats. She liked private planes. She always loved the nice hotels. She kind of liked the lifestyle, and I think it motivated her to keep grinding. She was manifesting a beautiful and luxurious life," unquote. The primary business strategy was essentially fake it until you make it. Martha believed that if her brand could survive long enough, people would view it favorably and start buying products. Hanging out in Montauk became a regular activity as she attempted to get as much exposure as possible. Martha even purchased followers for her company's Instagram account and posted images showcasing an upscale lifestyle. She projected an image of elite status, wanting people to believe that she had already made it. Success had been achieved. She was now a member of the club. Unfortunately for Martha, none of this actually translated into product sales. What she needed was money. If she didn't get it, her dream would fade into nothingness. Martha deployed a number of creative techniques to earn money and was willing to bend the rules. Some of her maneuvers could be considered brazen and even unethical. Determined to succeed, Martha was willing to do whatever was necessary. Eventually, it became clear to her that she was going to fail without additional investment. This is why she met with Christopher at the Montauk Yacht Club. Martha needed him to invest more money in order to keep the dream alive. During the course of that night, Martha used substances and died as a result. As far as the reason for her substance use, there's no way to know for sure. Maybe she was trying to fit in with the Hamptons lifestyle, which she perceived as fast-paced and hedonistic. The elite lifestyle showcased in places like the Hamptons can cause a terminal attraction. There is something about living in a mansion, sailing on yachts, driving expensive cars, and socializing with wealthy residents that is irresistible to some people. It is a lifestyle that seems glamorous, effortless, and endlessly desirable. For Martha, pursuing that lifestyle transformed from an aspiration to an obsession. She fantasized about ascending to greatness and joining the elites. She had a desire for superiority, a grandiosity that poisoned her, creating an inescapable vortex of narcissism. Unable to obtain the wealth that she desperately craved, Martha had to settle for fragments of her dream, glimpses of a private jet, parties in the Hamptons, and, inevitably, substances. In her mind, if she held on to these fragments diligently, she could manifest the entire picture. The other components of the dream would magically appear. Unfortunately, the only result that came into focus was her death. Those are my thoughts on the case of Martha Nolan. Thank you so much for watching. I'll talk to you soon.